Please check the trigger warning in the description.
As Feng followed after He Xuan, he let out a cough to clear his throat. "Say, new friend, I don't believe I have gotten your name yet." "Oh?" He Xuan asked in a low voice before pausing thoughtfully. "I'm known by many names, but for now you can call me Master." Feng paused as if his mind had yet to unravel the joke. "Ah, that's a good one, Master. I like it. So, Master, what are we supposed to do next?" He Xuan reached the brightly painted crown prince statue and turned so that his profile was visible. "Next, you are supposed to kneel." "Oh? I didn't realize that was part of it. I suppose it fits, though, since I am supposed to call you Master and all." Feng obligingly knelt on the ground. He Xuan's head was turned to the side, but his eyes took in Feng's every minute movement. His throat bobbed as he watched the other man lower himself into a kneeling position. "Okay, now what?" Feng knelt on the ground and looked up at him innocently. He Xuan's voice was low and slightly husky as he responded, "You really never have played this game before, have you?" Feng didn't have time to finish shaking his head before He Xuan pounced. Pinning his prey to the floor with iron arms, he pressed their lips together with the hunger of a ravaging beast. He kissed him as if he had endured being caged without food for weeks, months, his whole life. Teeth clacked together as He Xuan ravaged Feng's lips. Feng's eyes widened in astonishment, his face flushing red. He pulled away just enough to utter, "Master." That word seemed to drive all reason from He Xuan's mind as he captured the other's lips with unrestrained abandon. When he finally pulled away, they were both panting wildly for breath. Feng stared up at his captor with eyes filled with shock and confusion, his face flushed scarlet. As He Xuan stared into those wide, innocent eyes, reason seemed to return to him all in a rush. His body suddenly went rigid, his once softened face returning to its usual cold mask, though it was still a bit flustered. In an instant, he dropped Feng and fled from the room, leaving him in a disheveled heap on the floor. Peanut Jr. flopped away from the scene. His fishy face felt hot. Of all things, that was not the outcome he had envisioned. Not only did Daddy He Xuan not solve the time loop problem, he'd also done that. Peanut Jr.'s mind felt numb as he aimlessly wasted away the rest of the evening. Finally, he went to find He Xuan, sleeping submerged in a large leftover pot of chicken soup. Day after day passed in the same time loop. Peanut Jr. awoke in He Xuan's pocket and fell asleep cultivating in the chicken soup. He was beginning to lose track of how much time had passed. For all he knew, it could have been years, decades even. The one positive thing was that his cultivation seemed to be improving from so much time spent in the chicken spirit soup broth. Still, no matter how much his cultivation improved, nothing he did could change the loop or draw Daddy Swan's attention to it. Another thing that remained annoyingly consistent was Heaven's Eye's outbursts every night. Each and every night, without fail, he would launch into a tirade against the innocent cart ghost who was just there to do his job, delivering ingredients to the cooks. At first, Heaven's Eye's antics were entertaining. However, as the same scene played out day after year, Peanut Jr. became increasingly disenchanted with it. Finally, one loop, he couldn't take it anymore. Walking on his newly cultivated legs, he rushed to meet the cart ghost when he was still a good distance off. After checking over his shoulder to make sure Heaven's Eye hadn't noticed them, he turned to meet the gaze of the cart ghost. Only the bottom half of the cart ghost's papier-mâché mask was visible from under his hood, its wide smile rending the delicate white like a wound. Peanut Jr. opened his mouth, only to let out a series of bony clicks and clatters. With all his recent cultivation, he had not yet developed the ability to speak. The cart ghost cocked his head at the bipedal bonefish, who was flapping his new hands emphatically. A hoarse rasp sounded from behind his mask. "Oi, mate, what are you trying to say?" Peanut Jr. continued to gesticulate and finally made a show of pointing toward the crowd. The cart ghost leaned forward to be on the bonefish's level, his hood opening tracing the direction of the fish boy's finger. Yes, I know they are running low on ingredients. That's why they sent old Archie here to bring them supplies." Peanut shook his head in frustration. It really did pay to have proper lips. He would have to work on cultivating a pair of those next. With a flash of inspiration, he motioned Archie forward. With his finger, he wrote a few simple words on the ground.
Archie bent over to sound out the syllables, placing his finger under each one as he worked them out with difficulty. Junior used the opportunity to glance back in the direction of the party. The bright glow of paper lanterns was framed by the towering mountain in the background. Heaven's Eye was nowhere in sight. At first, that seemed like a good thing, until screams erupted from inside Pookie Shrine. Moments later, Heaven's Eye ran outside, an infuriated boar spirit hot on his heels. How did he still manage to cause trouble? Peanut Jr. stared open-mouthed for a full half-second before dashing back to observe the chaos. By the time he arrived, the boar spirit had sent half a dozen cultivators flying and was winding himself up like a spring as he stared Heaven's Eyes down. Old Thing waved his hands wildly as he stood between the two, trying to stop the fight. "No fighting, no fighting. Surely we can talk this out. Let's not fight at His Highness's party." Heaven's Eye ignored him as he shot a palm blast at the boar spirit. "Take that, you corrupt monster." The blast whizzed past Fang's ear, making him flinch anxiously. "Oh, come now, there is no cause for all that." Peanut Jr. felt an itch on the back of his neck. Turning around, he spotted a pair of glowing golden eyes, intently observing the scene from Pookie Shrine's doorway. His attention was soon dragged back to the confrontation playing before him.
"Get out of the way!" Heaven's Eye unceremoniously shoved Old Feng to the side, raising his arms to form a hand seal. The boar spirit let out a loud bellow as he charged Heaven's Eye. Lantern light reflected off the boar's razor tusks, making them look like they were already doused in heart's blood. The charge happened too fast, making it impossible for Heaven's Eye to finish his hand seal. With a light top of his foot, he deftly leapt to the side. The boar spirit's body continued to barrel forward, his momentum impossible to stop. In its path was a lone figure, painstakingly righting his toppled body, using a table leg for support. Old Feng scarcely had time to turn his head before the boar spirit's tusks cleaved into his flesh. A muffled scream sounded as ivory tusks pierced clean through Feng's chest and out the other side. Blood soaked through Feng's robes, changing them from rough beige to bright scarlet. The whole crowd froze for a heartbeat as they took in the scene. I didn't mean to," the boar spirit shuddered as he stepped quaveringly backward. "I had no quarrel with him." Old Feng lay crumpled on the ground, his chest heaving and his eyes wide with shock. Tiny red bubbles formed on the corners of his lips and foamed down his chin. He Xuan, a dark blur, swept past and appeared by Feng's side. He Xuan's eyes were wide and crazed as he gathered the other man into his arms. "He Xuan, He Xuan." His pale fingers dug into Feng's robes like a drowning man clinging to a stick of driftwood. Old Feng, or rather He Xuan, looked up into He Xuan's eyes with a glint of recognition. The corner of his lips twitched upward as a word weakly hissed out. Ming Xuan." He Xuan's eyes were stained scarlet. "He Xuan, hang in there. You have to hang on." With a single fluid motion, he ripped the narwhal horn bottle from his sash. "Hurry, drink. You have to drink this." He held the bottle to He Xuan's face, but the liquid just slid past his lips uselessly. The other man's body had already gone still. "Swallow, you have to swallow." He Xuan's hand shook. "He Xuan, damn it, I didn't say you could die." He pried He Xuan's mouth open to force in more of the liquid. The pressure from his fingers was so strong that it left marks on He Xuan's delicate skin. He pulled the other man's chin upward in an effort to force him to swallow. When that didn't work, he incessantly poured mouthful after mouthful of the potion into He Xuan until the bottle was empty. All the while, his motions were desperate, frantic, as if his life were somehow tied to that of the other. Peanut Jr. looked on in shock. He had never seen Daddy Xuan like this before. Even as the body in his arms began to cool, he continued to cling to it desperately. Horrible wails tore from his mouth like the death cries of a centuries-old sea dragon. The little bonefish tried to comfort his master, but nothing could break through the Ghost King's anguish. His wails continued long into the night until darkness shrouded them like a blanket and the world reset.